lovely people. This is Agri-Connect, and on Agri-Connect, we aim to showcase the best practices when it comes to agricultural ventures. As you can see behind me, we are looking at cassava farming today. Yes, cassava farming. If you are from Africa, you know how relevant cassava is to others. So stay tuned on Agri-Connect as we look at this interesting venture. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Rudolph, and you are welcome to Trade Hill Farm. Here we cultivate cassava and pineapple on our farm.
Okay.
And we have a portion here which is 5.8 acres only cassava that we cultivate on this portion.
Okay, all right. So now, before we even start this discussion, you realize that before anybody ventures into an agricultural field, they want to know how profitable it is. Is cassava farming profitable?
Yes, please. It's profitable. And before someone will invest in something, you have to consider the risks involved. Sometimes in investing, you can lose, you can gain. Anything that you invest, you can lose, you can gain. So when you want to invest, you have to consider the probability of you losing and the probability of you gaining. But with cassava, it's about 80% higher that you will gain than losing. So I think investing in cassava is very profitable.
Okay. So when you look at the typical Ghanaian diet, one way or the other, cassava is involved. Either fufu or even the ampesi or even banku, one way or the other, yes, you have cassava involved. So what do you think is the state of cassava farming in Ghana?
I think we have to improve our cassava farming because one of the main products that we fed on in Ghana is cassava. Taking maize out, I think the next thing is cassava because most of our diet come out from cassava.
That is
so we have to improve on it.
Okay, so let's even go to the layman perspective. So let's say I'm interested in cassava farming. What are some of the things I should consider before I even venture into the sector?
You need to consider your marketing. Well, that's the main thing that you have to consider when you want to come into cassava farming. Because we have so many varieties of cassava, and before you can start and choose a variety that you cultivate, you have to know what you are going to use the cassava for. So I think the main thing you have to consider is the marketing, what you are going to use the cassava for. And secondly, your land, where you are going to cultivate the cassava. I think you need to consider the land. Or cassava is a type of crop that wants a well-drained land. A land that doesn't hold water. Land that whenever it rains, the water drains very easy.
Okay, all right. So even you took us to the varieties. What are some of the varieties you have on your farm?
We have the 6 months and the 1 year. Due to the size of the farm, that's why we choose the 6 months and the 1 year.
Okay. So when you say 6 months and 1 year, what do you mean?
The duration, we mostly cassava, we classify them with the duration period. And we have the one typically for corn, cassava dough and gari processing. And we use some for ethanol. Ethanol. Some people use some for ethanol. So, and we have the one that we use, the normal one that we use for fufu. So when you are considering maybe the person that you will be supplying the cassava to will use it for ethanol, then I think you need to go in for the one that is mainly used for ethanol or the gari. So it depends on what you are going to do and the type of variety that you will choose.
Okay. All right. So even let's look at the land preparation aspect. You said cassava requires a land that is well drained, land that doesn't hold water. So that's like sandy loam.
Yes,
that is the okay. So before you even start, what are some of the considerations you should make before you start planting?
You need to know how best your crops will do on that particular land. Okay. So first, I think you need to consider the type of soil. Some portions are very clay, but still the cassava do well there. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need a loamy sandy soil before you can start. But you need to consider the pH of the soil and the type of what you are going to use the cassava for.
So now let's look at when it comes to the periods. How long does it take for cassava to be ready for table? You mentioned that you have 2 varieties, 6 months and then 1 year.
1 year.
So how long does it take for the cassava to get ready for table?
when you want to go into cassava farming, one thing you need to know is cassava is a type of crop that doesn't like weeds. So you need to check your weed control. When you do everything on time, your weed control is on time, then I think roughly 6 months, you can harvest your crops. And with the 1 year, it starts from 10 months, depending on you. Sometimes you can harvest it at 8 months. With the 1 year, you can harvest it at 8 months, but maybe the tubers will not be big enough for you as you want it. So if you want the tuber to be big enough, then you need to give it some time for it to develop well.
Okay, so you mentioned that cassava doesn't like weeds. And when it comes to doing something like this on a very large scale, as you have done, how do you control weeds?
Well, we use the biological method and the chemical method.
Okay.
With the chemical method, I prefer that one to be used at the initial stage.
Okay. So when you say the chemical method, what do you mean?
That's the spraying using the agro-chemicals, the weedicide to spray around the cassava. And I prefer that one at the initial stage, and I prefer the biological method at the latter stage where the crops are getting ready for harvest. Well, of late we've been experiencing a challenge that when you plant a 1 year cassava and it's 1 year, let me say 1 year 3 months, and you've not harvest, the cassava will start going bad. And I've conducted some research on it, and I find out that the chemicals are too much on the crops.
Okay. Is it because you don't engage the services of extension officers, or they are not readily available to you? That is why maybe you don't know the proportions that you should consider.
Not really, because I have made some I have go through some examinations. I've tried a portion that I use a chemical to control at the latter stage, and I've tried a portion that I use biological method to control the weeds at the latter stage, and I've realized that the chemicals weakens the crops when we use them during the latter stage when they are heading to harvesting.
Okay, all right. So you realize in our part of the world, agriculture is bounded by seasons. You realize that this season people have bumper harvest. There's so much on the market that prices fall. So how do you go about seasonalities?
Well, with cassava, we mostly here in Ghana we have 2 seasons that we plant cassava.
Okay.
We have the main season and the minor season.
Minor
season. And cassava, we had issue with cassava last year, which really make us go through some challenges.
What issue was that?
We had the rotting. It's about the rotting because it was not time for harvesting, and we start harvesting. So when you start harvesting, you have to wait for the season to begin before you can start planting. So during that time,
okay. So when you say you have to wait for the season to begin, what do you mean? What season are we waiting for?
The planting season.
Okay, when is the planting season?
Mostly start with the main season start March. We start the land preparation March.
Okay.
March we start the land preparation, depending on your geographical area.
Okay.
Then the time that you start, but mostly we start the preparation March. And the minor we start September, November. September. Let me say September.
Okay, all right. So you were talking about the challenge.
Yeah. So due to that, some people harvest their 1 year cassava on the 8th month. So they have to wait for the season to begin before they can. So the sticks were there and they dry. They dry. So it becomes scarce. So getting the sticks were so it makes the price of the stick rise very high. So
okay. Oh, okay, I can now understand. Okay, so per what you're saying, the cassava sticks, when not in use, after a period of time, dry up, and when they dry up, they won't be good for cultivating cassava. So after I harvest my cassava, how long can my cassava sticks stay without being planted before they die?
It depends on how you kept it. Okay. When after harvesting and you want to store your sticks for next planting. You don't need to leave them lying like this. You have to make them stand.
Why? What is wrong with them?
Because when you leave them like this, a person might not get access to the ground.
Okay, so like this side.
So like this side will not get access to the ground to form roots. But when you leave them standing like this, that means this part get access to the land. It takes water and supply it to the top. So it doesn't, none of the part will get dry. But when you leave them like this, part will dry. And even when you leave them like this, the one on top like this might not get access to the land. So automatically all the ones on top will dry up, whilst the one on the ground will be fresh for planting.
Okay, all right, okay. So now you mentioned earlier about the issue with even accessing the cassava sticks. Yes, I heard that over for some time cassava farmers were struggling even to get the sticks. Yes, because of seasonalities, just like you said. So now let's look at the cost involved. How much do I need? Let's say I'm a graduate or somebody who wants to even venture into cassava farming. How much do I need before I can venture into cassava farming?
It depends on the number of acres that you want to. Depend on the
so let's say 1 acre.
1 acre. Okay. 1 acre with land processing and getting your chemicals, labor work. Sometimes some people will decide not to use biological method in the weed control, but definitely you will need the biological method, because in Ghana I have not seen a cassava planter before, so definitely you will bring some people to come and support you to plant. So when you put all those things into consideration, I think 8,000 will be good, depending on how you want it. Because everyone and how he or she start with the land preparation. Some people plow, harrow, and some quite even go deep as rake plow.
Just to make the soil loose enough.
And when you spend more money on land preparation, controlling weed around the crops become very easier. But when you spend less, it's vice versa. It's vice versa. When you spend less during the land preparation, then you have to spend more during the weed control.
And the weed control. Yes, okay, all right. Okay, so now let's say, still with the acre example, how many cassava sticks do I need when it comes to an acre?
An acre. Well, it depends on how you want to plant
it. Ideally, what's the spacing that I should consider when planting?
Or about 2 feet, 2 leg stretch.
Okay, so 2 feet. Okay.
Yeah, 2 leg stretch, not 2 feet.
Two steps. Okay. 2 steps.
Leg stretch.
Okay.
Normally, yeah.
Okay. So is there a reason why you have to consider 2 leg stretch?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can you take us through that?
Cassava wants space. That's why I earlier said they don't like weeds. So when there is space, air blow through. Even if it doesn't rain and there's enough space between them, your crops will do well. Your crops will do well. So I think giving them space will help you to get a better yield.
Okay, because it's a tuber crop, you have to space it out so that's your. Okay, that makes a lot. Okay, so now let's look at the money aspect. So after I've gone through the harrowing, the planting, the plowing, and all the weed control mechanisms, how much can I expect from an acre? When I invest, let's say 8,000, as you said, how much can I expect as profits from an acre?
Nothing less than 25,000.
Oh, then it's profitable.
It's very profitable.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So now let's look at how much you sell one cassava. Let's say when you harvest one tree, how much do you sell? Oh, that's not how you sell it.
That's not how.
Okay. How is cassava sold?
Mostly we have a tricycle that we use to measure. Nowadays, that's what we use to measure, and we have a pound that we use to measure too. So it depends on how the buyer that you are getting. But currently, the tricycle, which we call here in Ghana, Abubuya, and one is sold for 3,000, 3,200, and 2,900. Yeah, depending on how you relate to the buyer.
Okay. You realize that a lot of individuals you talked about plowing and harrowing and all the land preparation schemes. You realize that a lot of these farmers don't even have the finances to make them, venture into to use the mechanized way of plowing. You mentioned earlier that some people use hoes and then, so how is that done when you employ the traditional ways of? So can you take us through maybe a demonstration of how this is done so that whoever is watching might know? Okay. When you are done, I also try it.
Mostly it is done with a hoe bar because we don't have any hoe here. Let me use the cutlass to demonstrate that. So cassava is a tuber crop. So first thing, when the soil is loose, it helps the cassava to spread well.
The roots to spread
well. So mostly this is how it is done.
Okay, let me also try. Let's see if you're a good teacher. Okay, so I guess I'm doing it.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you do this to the whole land if it's an acre.
No, to the portion where you insert the stick.
Oh, okay. So it's just to where you insert the
You
stick.
insert the stick.
Oh, okay. All right. And then now let's look at the planting.
The planting.
So let's say when we take a stick like this, how many divisions ordinarily do I have to make, or how many cassava sticks can I get from a stick like this?
If the stick is good, it's complete good. Some you will get some that maybe portion will dry, but if let me say the one you are holding is all ready for planting, is variable, then I think you can get 3 or 4 out of it, depending on the individual.
So how do they cut it? Okay, do a demonstration.
Okay.
Then let's see. Oh, okay. So this is how it's done.
Yes.
You don't consider the notes, or it's just
you consider the turning. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry about that. You consider the turning because the face, you have the eyes. It has to show up.
Okay.
So let me show you where this is the eyes. This is what will germinate. This is the eyes. Okay. So this side have to face up.
Face up. Okay.
If it face down, it will germinate but you will not get anything out of it. So this side has to face up for it to come up. Well.
Okay. All right. So it has to, this side, the notes have to be up.
Up the eyes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So like this.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now let me also do my demonstration. Okay. Just use my 2 hands. Okay. So it's okay, right?
It's okay.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay.
Then now I insert it. So it has to be slanted.
Yes, please.
Why does it have to be slanted?
It helps in harvesting.
Okay, so it helps in harvesting.
Yes,
How?
please. It helps in uprooting. Okay. When you are trying to uproot it makes it easier. When you face it, you let it stand straight, it makes the tubers go direct to the soil. But when you slant it, it makes them go. How should I say?
It's able to penetrate. The roots are able to spread.
To spread well.
Okay, and grow well.
And grow well.
Okay, all right. Okay, so now let's look at, you mentioned earlier that depending on the purpose for which you are growing the cassava, that's what will determine the variety that you go for. If I want to grow it for cassava dough, yes, which of the varieties should I focus on?
We have the white one.
White one.
White one. That one is mostly white. When you peel it, the skin is white. That's what we normally use for.
Is there maybe a specific name for it?
We mostly call it with the local name.
Okay, what's the local name?
They be calling it rose.
Rose.
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. So the variety is rose.
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. And then let's say if I'm growing it for the cassava itself, maybe pampesi or fufu. Which variety should I consider?
And the red one.
The red one. And what's the local name?
The local name is Ankara. The local name is
Ankara. Yes. Okay, all right. And then let's say if I'm growing it for starch.
Starch.
Yes, which one should I focus on?
The one we use for cassava dough.
Okay, so the rose.
The rose.
Oh, okay. Now let's look at the harvesting. Because cassava spreads its roots widely, you realize that there are lots of techniques that people have to employ in harvesting so that they don't even cut the cassava in the ground. And also to ensure that the stick comes out okay for the next planting season. Yes. So how is the harvesting done? What are some of the things I should consider when it comes to harvesting cassava?
Well, what you need to consider is how loose the soil is. And when you know the soil type that you are going to harvest, then how you prepare for it. So let's assume you are harvesting in the loamy soil. Then I don't think you need to stress your body getting your cassava, your cutlass will do.
Okay, all right. So let's say, okay, so can you let's get a demonstration of the harvesting. Yes, so that's. Okay.
With the harvesting, first thing you need to do is to cut your stem.
Okay.
You have to cut your stem, but you have to cut it in a way that you get a portion to hold whilst you are uprooting.
Okay.
So this one is not ready,
it's not ready yet
okay,
for
but
market,
just
but
we just want to.
Okay.
Okay. So with this one, you have to cut it like this.
Okay.
So that you get enough stem to uproot when you are harvesting. So first you need to make the soil loose. Okay.
So you said we cut first off. We cut the top.
You cut the top.
Okay, so I have to cut this one too.
Yes, please.
Okay. So then
you loosen the soil.
The soil. Okay. I think I'm already feeling some of the. I should pull it.
Yes, please. It will be very. let me help you.
Yes, please. Let's do it together. Okay.
It's not ready.
Ready. Yes.
That's why they are not big
but it's
enough.
just a demonstration.
It's just
for
a
people.
demonstration.
Oh, the land is very fertile. You can see worms. Okay. All right. Okay. So now let's look at value addition. You realize that when it comes to agricultural fields, when you add value, that's when you earn more money. Do you guys add value to your?
Well, we are processing it into gari.
Gari, okay.
Gari, and we are chopping some into chips that we will dry them for exporting.
Okay, so you haven't started yet?
No,
okay,
please.
but it's in the pipeline.
It is in the pipeline.
Okay, all right. So now let's look at some of the challenges you face as a cassava farmer.
Well, it depends where you are. You have to consider if the cassava is the main crop that they plant here. But here, no. The crop they plant here is pineapple. So getting people to come and work on the farm is very tedious. It's really, and sometimes when they come cry, they'll come and play with you, take your money, go, and they will not return again. And it is very stressing. Secondly, you need to consider the season, because there are some places the time they get their rains is very
different.
It's delayed from the other places. So where you are cultivating, you need to know the how should I say?
You need to know the season.
The season well. You need to know the season well to know when you plant and
even when to harvest.
Okay,
all right, okay. Now let's look at so let's say I'm interested in venturing into agriculture, but I don't know which sector to go into. Do you have any final words on why I should go into cassava farming?
With cassava farming, you don't invest so much into it, and it doesn't need much attention. After weed control, we just need to survey the farm once in a while, maybe twice a week. After weed control, when you plant, after weed control, you need to survey the farm maybe twice a week. It doesn't require much attention, and the risks involved in cassava farming is very low. And the disease is nowadays that we are facing some small challenge with the disease, pest and disease control, but it's not that affecting our yield that much.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Rudolph, for your time. Okay.
You're welcome.
And we hope that next time when we call on you, you will grant us more interviews. And when you start your processing, you still call on us to come.
Yeah, I will do that.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
As you've just heard, we've learned about cassava farming and some of the intricacies involved when it comes to ensuring that you reap your optimum best in this production. My name is Nana Ismabasam, and this has been Agri-Connect. Stay with us for more educational content on agriculture.